I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Dr. Hamdi, the chair of our board.
For many Somalis who would have a man by the name of Hamdi, it's very, very unusual. Because in Somalia, back home, anyone whose name is Hamdi is a girl or young lady. How in Egypt we have done this, don't ask me. Maybe the president of Egypt knows something about it, or the president of Somalia, so they can figure out. But anyhow, thank you so much for accepting me with the name of Hamdi, though I am a man in front of all of you. Good evening, and it's really an honor to be with all of you tonight. It's really, really a wonderful event to be with all of you, having this wonderful gathering of not only Somali parents, I have to be fair, because we do have non-Somali parents who decided to come and support our cause in here. I really, really appreciate your coming, parents, whoever you are, and also I really support and acknowledge, I really appreciate and acknowledge your support to our kids capitalizing in the SAPA, the Somali American Parent Association, where the mission is to assist Somali families in Minnesota in building and strengthening their capacity to fully navigate and participate in American school system, to be knowledgeable about educational opportunities, and to be supportive of their children's academic progress. Now we have the mission, we understand it, and I'm sure all of you are in a big support of this mission. Thanking all of you parents, and of course thanking our children who do really honor us to helping them and serving them. It is also an honor for us. Let me appreciate our board members who have been working so hard, and I hope, if not all of them, some of them are here. Please standing up. Trudy Solomon, the secretary, David Shushman, Jamal Abu Bakr, Shukri Hassan, Deborah Jane, and Liban Muhammad. I really, really thank all of our wonderful board members who are behind the scene, are really driving forces in order to have our organization really, really successful. I cannot go without having my real and sincere appreciation to our staff in here, who are really another driving force behind the scene. I always call them the unknown soldiers of our association. Mohammed Mahmoud, our executive director, and Lorraine Demuller, our administrative director. Please stand up. Brooke Barber, grants and development manager. Caddy Culhan, the AmeriCorps Vista Youth Program Coordinator. Faiza Hassan, Program Officer. Asma Polel, Program Development Interim. And Hassan Farah, our accountant. Give them a big hand. These are our staff and the administration working so hard. It doesn't matter how many hours they are there. It doesn't matter whether they are there from 9 to 5. It could go from 9 to 9. It could go from 9 to 9. It doesn't matter to them as long as they have a mission to accomplish. In front of all of you, two things I would like to pay your attention to. This card, where it has the mission of the organization, it has a lot of information there, so please look at it and capitalize on it. Look at our budget and the fundraising as well. So this is extremely important piece. I would like for all of you to look at it. The second piece is this. It's just an envelope in front of all of you, and it says that donation to the Somali American Parent Association. You have been generous. You have been kindly donating to this organization, and as you all know, Nonprofit organizations are not that filthy rich. No. We're applying for some grants from here and there. Sometimes we got some acceptance. Sometimes we got small percentage of what we're applying for. But mainly it is your help, your finance, your support to this noble cause. So I would really urge all of you, dig deeply in your pockets. Have your credit card available, and I'm sure we do have a machine for that. Get out your book check and I should not say donate or contribute. No, we're really helping a noble cause in here for SAPA, the Somali American Parent Association, which is we're very, very, very proud of. Thank you so much. Enjoy your dinner and enjoy the program.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Mohammed Mahmoud.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to acknowledge several people. The board of Minneapolis Public Schools, who came, almost 90% of them came. I would like, board might say interim, but I will say the superintendent, according to my evaluation, the superintendent of Minneapolis Public School, Michael Gore, thanks for coming, and we appreciate it. There are two friends, a lady who ran away from Minneapolis Public Schools. Jackie Turner, she is the assistant superintendent of St. Paul Public School. And let me say, thank you for accepting our, the assistant commissioner of Minnesota Department of Education to be our guest speaker. I will thank Senator Han, who took his time to come here. And I don't see, where's Phyllis Khan? She was there? She left, and Phyllis Khan. There is another person which I say, which is an CEO now, the first Somali CEO lady. Yeah. Sarah Noor. So she is the director of People's Center. That's what I am acknowledging. The first elected person we have, I don't see him. Oh yeah, Abdi Warsame. He's our leader. We will take our complaint to him. We will talk to him all the time. We want money from him and all that. Apart from that, Somali American Parents Association didn't come. Group come together and said that we will make establish an organization. It came from an emotional story, which is my personal story. The year of 2008, I was teaching. At that time, it was 11 o'clock in the morning, teaching world history at Edison High School. I had a call from one of the suburbans of the school's suburbans, which my son used to go. And they said, if you don't come now, your kid will not come back again to the school, totally. And I said, can you tell me anything? No, you have to come. I asked for a substitute. I drove madly. I was almost to get an accident. I went there. When I went there, somebody welcomed me. He took me to a room, and there was the assistant principal, a counselor, and a teacher. I sat down, and they said, "Your child," proudly saying that, "your child has failed 4 subjects F, and he has 2D, 1C, and 1B. Ironically, the 4 subjects that he failed was the one I was teaching 15 minutes ago. I was okay at the beginning, but when they told me that, I get upset. And I said, I made a question, "Please, do you know my profession?" They looked at the record they had, and they said, "Yeah." They sit back and they said, "You are an educator." That's a good point. "Do you have any telephone numbers of mine? Any emails of mine?" And they get 2 emails, 3 phones, that, okay. Then the last question I said, "Do you know the time you called me?" The date, which was April 29. And I asked them again, they didn't answer. And I asked them again, "Do you know the school will be closed on June 5th? And they said, "Yes." Then I get upset. I stood up and I said, "I'm going to sue you." And believe me, I would have to sue them if I was not an educator. I left them. But I went there. I was so mad. I drove, talking loudly, talking to myself. And I went I saw a coffee shop. I was so mad. I went there. I ordered while I was talking to myself loudly. Then I took the coffee, sat down, and I said, "Were you talking to yourself?" So I realized that I was talking to myself. Then immediately I said, again, with a low tone, I said, Mahmoud, you failed your kid. But imagine the Somali mom. You have only 2 kids, raising 2 kids here in America. The Somali mom who has 8, 6, or 5 kids, single, doesn't have a car, cannot commute the city, doesn't speak any other language except the Somali. Who is going to help that? That's the time I swear that I will help that families. From that day till now, we are helping. It doesn't come. So, what happened was, when I went to the state, Office of State, Secretary of State, registered it, put the names, I didn't know how it came, Somali American. Then I asked myself on the weekend, who's going to work and do the work? You work, you have a full day. Who's going to sit? Can you afford to pay somebody? It was sad and lucky at the same time. It was sad that I was given by Minneapolis Public Schools a pink slip because there was a reduction of the staff. Okay, seniority is number 1. Number 2, the social studies teachers are going to be kicking. So I had the 2. So I was released. Then I said, okay, good time. So I worked hard. In the first 8 months, I got a unemployment. Then I got a renewal. I pursued the work. I got a small office, very tiny office, alone, knocking each door. And I remember the first year I went to Jackie Turner. I said, you have, you work for, you have the family department. Give me a project. Let me work for you. And she did. She believed in me and she did. The 16 months finished, then it came. I have to continue. Where can I feed my kids, my family, myself? Then I got a decision again, a very hard decision. I depleted 2 accounts of my K01, 401, all of them. But what's the good thing is today, we have trained a lot of parents, and take it from me, whether we get a project for them, a grant for them, we will never stop training the parents, Somali parents. The other little story was little Mona. While I was teaching, I saw her sitting in there and looking at her watch, and I said, Mona, what's your problem? And she said, no, come here. I'll give you A if you tell me what's your problem. And she said, I told my mom to come to this parent-teacher conference. And she said, we will. And today, finally, she refused to come. And that kid was 4.0 GPA, that kid. Then I said, Mona, I will be your father. I will go through the teachers through. Mr. Muhammad, teachers know you. I said, okay, teachers know me, but they don't know me, my daughters and my boys. Do they? So I went with her and I said, tomorrow, 5 o'clock, I will be coming to you, to your house, and you cook for me Somali tea. Very sweet, and I am diabetic at the same time. But I went there, I talked to the mom, and I said, if this kid fails, you are responsible. I talked to her, and finally, she became one of the parents who never miss a parent-teacher conference. Thank you very much. That's SAPA, Somali American Parent Association.
Thank you so much for those wonderful stories, Mr. Mohammed. So next we would like to welcome someone who has been both a student and a parent with Mr. Mohammed, Mahedi Igal.
Good evening. I appreciate the invitation to speak on behalf of these wonderful faces today. I appreciate the time given to speak on behalf of these beautiful faces today. I don't have any interesting thing to share with you about me, but I was Mr. Mohammed's one of the students of Mr. Mohammed at Edison High School. I graduated from Edison High School. I also like to say that I am product of Minneapolis Public School. My wife is product of Minneapolis Public School. So we both are graduates from University of Minnesota, way back. So I think the things that I really wanted to share tonight are composed into 4 things. One is myself as a student going through this difficult journey of educating ourselves as a newly immigrant to the United States, and learning the culture, learning the people, at the same time having responsibilities to provide for our families, because most oftentimes we're not only here to educate ourselves, because education is, truly speaking, is third or fourth priority for many Somali students and many Somali parents, because our journey to the United States is to work hard to provide not only for ourselves, but also to provide for people who we have left back home. So my initial thinking was not to educate myself up until I met my middle school teacher back in Somali, who had helped me and enlightened me the journey that I wanted to take. And even though I was not thinking myself to educate, but he told me the only way possible, not only to provide myself to the family that I left behind, is to educate myself. So he took me to Edison High School. I was a little bit older, by the way, and registered me this place they called Welcome Center. He took me to the Welcome Center and I registered it. And then I went to Edison High School. Obviously, I got a job in the morning that I wanted to work, but I also wanted to go to school. So I chose not to go to school, but work. Then there was a new program that was established in the Minneapolis School District, that people who wants to go to high school in the evenings, that we can go to evening program. One of the greatest things that Minneapolis Public School does that I appreciate, there are a lot to work with, but that we were a group of Somali students, approximately 40 students. I can guarantee you that most of us graduated in a year and a half, which some of them are sitting here today with you, not only myself. We graduated. Most of us went to college. Most of us went to U of M, by the way, with only 2.5 years of high school, and worked our ass. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Worked really hard, and I can tell you that today Minneapolis Public School might have 10% graduation or 11 or 18% graduation of people from the immigrant descent ELL students, but that time we had group of students who had graduated. Almost 80% of us graduated and went to college. So I really wanted to start this because students have potential. Any student has potential to succeed, not only as we were smarter or anything like that. Nobody is smarter than anybody, by the way. It's laying the foundation, making the students realize education is the only way to get yourself ahead. So we did that, and that's part of my life. Went to high school, college, graduated, worked at Wells Fargo for almost 7 years. Now I'm a parent. My daughter goes to Michael Dowling Elementary. My son is about to go to, he's in that step of going to kindergarten. I'm sorry, I'm sweating. So my wife and I, we always ask, what can we do different? Not only for our kids, because we know that we can really educate our kids. We know that for sure. But we always ask ourselves, what can we do for the parents, Somali parents, who are, what Mr. Mohammed said, are truly struggling. And most oftentimes in the school system, we label them as parents who are not really involved in their education, in their kids' education, without knowing the fact elements that really influence them why they're not really involved in their kids' education. So I can't actually speak about what those elements are tonight, but you can truly understand how single mother with 4 kids, 5 kids, are truly struggling to educate our kids. So when we have drop-up kids in Minneapolis Public School, it's not the Minneapolis Public School's responsibility, by the way, because there are other responsibilities that needs to be met, and that comes with the parents, with the communities, with the school districts, teachers, and people who really truly care about educating our kids. So I always tell my wife, what can we do? I'm involved in Minneapolis Public School voluntarily for the past 8 years. I go to the meetings, attend meetings, try to help any way possible I can. But at the end of the day, we have responsibilities to meet. And that responsibility is to help people who are working hard, like Mr. Mohammed's organization, SAPA, who are day in and out, are working truly hard to help parents who are less fortunate, not only to understand the difficulties of this education system in the United States, but most oftentimes are truly lacking behind. And when the kid is already 2 grades lacking behind, can't read 3rd grade level, it's hard to achieve the dream. And we always talk about American dream. American dream, by the way, that's not really true, because American dream is really tough nowadays. I mean, even if you graduate from college, there are a lot of kids who are graduating from college that don't have jobs. So it's very important that we support one another, especially we support organizations like Mr. Mohammed's organization. I won't say Mr. Mohammed, I'm sorry. Mr. SAPA organization, because there are other people who are working hard, more working hard than Mr. Mohammed, by the way. So those are the things that I really wanted to share. I really wanted to emphasize tonight that any kid, no matter what color of your skin is, they are capable of achieving their dreams. And as adults, as people, as human beings, we have responsibilities not only to educate Caucasian or black or anything like that. Every kid, we should give the opportunity for them to achieve the dreams they deserve. Because I also wanted to say that Minneapolis Public School has the responsibility to deliver what they wanted to deliver. I mean, the Minneapolis Public School, I might be the product of Minneapolis Public School, but there is so much chaos going on in Minneapolis Public School, Minneapolis School District. And I think the leadership is enlightened now with the leadership of Gore. We're hoping, as a family, as Somali parents, we have higher hope that Minneapolis Public School will make the change needed to educate our Somali kids, our immigrant kids, our African American kids, so that we enlighten them in life and also help them succeed in any way possible they can. I truly appreciate giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of you tonight. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for coming and be part of this.
Thank you so much. Next, I would like to introduce Wei Nguyen, Minnesota Assistant Commissioner of Education, to say a few words.
All right. Hi. Well, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Wei Nguyen. I'm an Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Education. I'm here filling in for Commissioner Casilius, who could not make it tonight due to a family event. And wow, these are just truly inspirational stories, and I'm a little nervous to follow these stories. But just to let you know a little bit about myself, I am also a proud product of Minneapolis Public Schools. I am a child of immigrants from Vietnam, and so I witnessed firsthand how important it is for parents to be really involved in their children's education, the emphasis that immigrant parents have on education, and really understanding that education is a means to a better future for your children. So my parents, they worked 2 jobs at a time, they worked overnight shifts, but they always made it a priority to attend parent-teacher conferences, to go to school plays, school choirs, just because they know how important it is for parents to be there for your kids. And just as a child, I truly appreciated that, but I knew that there were a lot of struggles, that they had to maybe not sleep in order to go to a school play, or maybe having to take some time off from work when they really truly couldn't afford to take the time off of work because they weren't getting paid. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing, just encouraging parents to be involved and giving them a means to be involved in their children's education. at the Department of Education, we really see ourselves as an agency that supports families, so students and their families as well, and really trying to help, if at all possible, to facilitate conversations between families and schools and school leaders, because we don't want the first time a parent to receive a phone call from a school is because something bad happened or there's something that happened with a child. There should be a relationship of trust where I feel that parents and school leaders can reach out to each other and build that foundation so that, unfortunately, if there is a time where a parent is being called because of something that negatively impacted their children, at least there's a trust, and that the school and that the families can really work through those issues and reach a good resolution for the children. So, I have now having the opportunity to work with Mr. Mahmoud on a teacher equity plan in order to try to get excellent teachers in front of all students. And again, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of your economic status, I think all students, all families should have access to excellent teachers and have school systems that support them. So thank you, everybody, for having me tonight.
Thank you, Wei, for coming. Next, I'd like to ask Abdi Warsame to come up and say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honor and privilege to be here tonight with you. And I'm a great supporter of the Somali American Parent Association. It is a mouthful, but I call it Abgallo's organization. So that's an easier term for us. It is a wonderful organization, and it touches me because when I think about the East African community, a community with many challenges, a new immigrant community, a new American community, I always had the belief that the solutions to our problems will come from the community itself, that we are the solution to the issues that we face and the challenges that we face. So what we have here is an organization that trains parents, that helps students at the heart of the community, which is my beloved neighborhood of Cedar Riverside. So that's one thing that I'm very much supportive of. I'm also reminded of a saying. I'm going to use two quotes. And one of them was from Malcolm X, and he said, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." The future of this community is in such organizations, is in empowering our youth, in educating our children, and making sure that they become meaningful members of society, that they become people who are not dependent on handouts or the gifts of others, but people who can do things for themselves. And this is, and the human capacity development of the East African community is of utmost to me and my office at Ward 6, since we represent the largest East African population in the United States in terms of the Somalis and the Oromo. Of course, there are other East African populations such as the Amhara that live in Washington, D.C. But in Minnesota, the largest members of this community, the largest Muslim population, live in my ward and live in South Minneapolis. And therefore, such programs present to us, to me, the how would I say, the fulfillment of my goals. And that's why I'm thankful that we have such distinguished guests here today from the school board, from our elected offices at the Capitol. And I would encourage you to support this organization and to support Mr. Mahmoud, who is not just somebody who's committed to this organization, but who also is an elder to us, a little bit older than me, and who's well respected within our community. So I'd like to give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Lastly, I was raised by a single mother, and I also went to a public school system, but one in England, Great Britain. And my mother taught me one thing, which is, and I will use an Ashanti West African proverb, which is, act as if failure is impossible. Always act as if failure is impossible. Always dream, reach for the stars. If you don't reach the stars, you'll end up landing on the moon. And that's one thing that I was raised by a single mother who did not speak English. And that's how these single mothers who live in Ward 6 and who live elsewhere are to me, they're a reflection of my mother. And what I want all our children is to act as if failure is impossible and to reach for the stars. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So next we would like to welcome Senator David Hann.
Thank you for having me here tonight. I bring greetings from the Minnesota Legislature. I know my colleague, Representative Loon, was invited to come. I think she wanted to come, but I believe she was ailing this evening and could not make it. So, but we sent her greetings anyway. This is very inspiring to me. I got involved in politics because of education. I have 4 children. We live out in Eden Prairie, and when they were young, I worked in the classrooms and volunteered and ended up serving on the school board for 3 terms in Eden Prairie. And then I ran for the state senate and have worked on education issues at the state senate for most of the time that I've been there. We spend a lot of money in Minnesota on education. It's the biggest part of the budget that we have is on K-12 education. And I think that's part of who we are in this state. We know how important education is. It is, and there are so many stories that I'm hearing, and I first became acquainted with this organization and Director Mahmoud about a month ago at a meeting. So I'm unfamiliar with this organization, but it's very inspiring because there seems to be so much dedication to the idea of educating our youth, and that really is the important thing. We have a statute in our laws that was passed a number of years ago. It's called the Definition of School Act, and it says that parents are the primary educators of their children. And we take that very seriously. And I think no matter who you are, what school you work in, and we all know the importance of parents being engaged with their children, trying to encourage them and making sure that they have the preparation as best they can provide it for their children to be in school and to learn, and in partnership with the schools that we have. And it can be very difficult, and it's hard for me to sometimes believe the kinds of journeys that some of you have had and continue to have. It's inspiring to know that. In the legislature, we are working on a budget this year, as we do every 2 years. And so we are going to try to find ways to be of assistance. I hope that as we proceed that you will continue to give us counsel on how we can do that. And I would just encourage you, all of you, to keep encouraging the parents in the community to stay involved with the education of their children, to be at the schools, to do what they can. I think those things make a huge amount of difference. And I hope as I go forward here, I can learn more about your organization, and I hope I can attend other events. It's inspiring to be here, and I'm glad that you invited me. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Senator Hann and to all of our guest speakers tonight. Let's give them all another round of applause. So now we wanted to just take a moment at the end of our presentation to tell you a little bit about the work we are currently doing, the programs that we're doing, and you're going to hear from each of our staff about some of our areas of focus. So parent engagement and empowerment has been at the heart of SAPA's work from the beginning, as you've heard. Young people have more success in school when their parents understand what is expected of them and are able to advocate for their needs. We know that parents have a lot to learn about our school system when they first arrive in the U.S. because it is so different from what they have experienced before. The goal of all our parent engagement work and the mission of our organization is to support parents in building their capacity to navigate and fully participate in the school system, to be knowledgeable about educational opportunities, and to be supportive of their children's academic progress. In the past 7 years, we have provided a variety of educational training opportunities for parents to help them learn more about navigating the U.S. school system and how they can support their students. We have facilitated Connecting Parents to Educational Opportunities series, and we have trained newly arrived families at schools and community centers. This year, we are very excited to grow this area of our programming through a 3-year grant from the Office of Refugee Resettlement to provide parent advocacy workshops to 180 new parents each year in a variety of locations around the Twin Cities. These workshops include information on the structure of the U.S. school system, the rights and obligations of parents with students enrolled in public schools, and the rights and obligations of school staff and administrators. At the beginning of our workshops with parents, Mr. Mohammed always asks them, can you help your kids if you don't speak English, if you don't read English or write English? And he says often many parents think no, without these language skills, maybe they can't help. But by the end of their training series and their time with Mr. Mohammed, usually the answer turns to yes, they know how to help their students and how to support them in school.
Great. So I am the AmeriCorps Vista member for the Somali American Parent Association. I'm also the youth program coordinator. And this has really taken shape over the past couple years and grown into this very strong program that we do with Lincoln International High School. We partner with them. It's an out-of-school time program, and our students are so dedicated that actually the sophomores and juniors show up almost every Saturday for Saturday school. And we provide them tutoring and homework support, but in addition to that, we really help them with post-secondary planning, whether that's simply asking them, what do you want to do when you leave high school? Are you talking about this with people? To more of the nitty-gritty skills, like, all right, let's go through the FAFSA together. And it's been a very rewarding process working with the Somali American Parent Association this year. And we are really proud of the engagement that the students show. My favorite little anecdote is that when I have personally worked with students, that being able to work with students one-on-one, specifically in math and reading, those really hard to work with one specific student, whereas working with her on math, and then you see that, you hear that often that moment when it clicks. And then the next time I came, I asked, do you need help with math? And she's like, no, I got it. And then she led the group in that math section the next week. So these students are truly motivated to learn and really want to succeed.
Thank you, Katie. It's always me that this happens to. No one else has this problem. Aha, there we go. All right, so I'm going to talk for a moment about the cross-cultural training that we do and the community support piece of that as well. So my colleagues just talked about the training that we do with parents and the support that we have for youth, which are vital, and that's really the core of what we do. But at the same time, those efforts only go so far if we're not also working with educational staff. So we also meet with mainstream educational staff around the entire metro area. So that could be school teachers, educational assistants, administrators, special education teachers as well. And we give them a cultural orientation so that they can really understand where a lot of these families are coming from, and they can understand just a much better background. So beliefs, attitudes, cultural norms, and that really provides a basis for both parties to be able to communicate effectively. So that's something that we've been doing on basically a quarterly basis since the organization started. We go out and we provide these workshops at various schools. And then the other piece is that we also work with families one-on-one. Sometimes we have one parent or a group of parents that just have a really specific concern. They have a conflict with a teacher, or they don't understand what the school is asking of them. And in that case, we deal with the parent one-on-one. We have them come in, we talk to them, we try to find out how we can help them. Sometimes we go to the school with them, we sit down with the teacher or the administrator. In one case last year, there was an entire group of parents that were really struggling. They felt like the school did not understand what they needed. There was just a big roadblock there. So we actually ended up spending many weeks meeting with them, helping them organize, and then actually setting up some mediations with that school. And that is something that we will be continuing to do from here on out.
Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Okay. How are you? Assalamu alaikum to everybody else. I just started working with SAPA about 3 months ago. I'm just studying up of everything they're doing now. But my background and my passion is community health, and my background is in public health. So I'm going to tell a little story of how I met Adir Abgallo, which Adir Mahmoud. So one day, a really good friend of mine, she's sitting right here, her name is Ayan Abdinur, invited me to a dinner. And she's like, oh, we're going to just meet for dinner and just talk about health. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And then we come around, and it's a group of very educated, some background with health, others with different backgrounds. And then, sorry, I'm really nervous. I hate speaking in public. So, okay. So, we're sitting down for dinner, and then everybody, Adir brings out a survey, and we're talking about health, which was specifically mental health. And I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. It's dinner. So it turned out to be a focus group, which is pretty awesome, where we talked about, the questions everybody was asking was pretty cool, where it's like, my background is not in mental health, but I was like, it was really interesting. So at the end of the dinner, I went up to Ayan, I was like, I want to actually personally meet Adir Mohammed. And then I was like, after I talked to him for a little while, I was like, I actually want to work with him. So 3 months later, actually on his staff, and I started as a program developer, just writing parent programs. But now I'm going to be the community health engagement specialist. Long title, but it's gonna be kind of cool because, like I said, my background is in community health, and the reason I'm so interested in it, and actually recently moved from Seattle to here 3 months ago. And so Minnesota has one of the biggest Somali communities, and I would love to work with them. Sorry again, super nervous. I hate speaking in public. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you guys more often.
Thank you so much, Asma. We're lucky to have you. And so this is going to be a new focus area in our programming beginning in 2014 and continuing in 2015 to really work with community members to talk about health needs. And we actually are planning a mental health conference, which gets to our vision for 2015. Moving forward, we plan to continue fulfilling our mission by engaging new community partners, continuing to support students through out-of-school time programming with additional opportunities for leadership and post-secondary planning, growing and strengthening our parent engagement network, and continuing to engage community members and service providers on health issues leading up to this conference. So we're very excited. We are so grateful to be a part of a supportive community in our work with students, parents, and educators. That's you. We couldn't do it without all of you. We really appreciate your support. Moving forward, we invite you to stay engaged with our work. Make a donation, volunteer your time, find us on the web, follow us on Facebook. We're so grateful that you're all here tonight. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.